Our next problem is to write the Lewis structure for each ionic compound. So our first ionic compound is sodium fluoride. Now sodium has one valence electron, so let's write sodium. And fluorine has 7 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so sodium donates an electron to fluorine, like this. Since sodium has lost an electron, it has a +1 charge. And since fluorine gained an electron, it has a -1 charge. So our final Lewis structure would look like this. So bracket around our sodium with a plus charge, and then a bracket around our fluorine with the valence electrons with a minus charge. Next is calcium oxide. Calcium has 2 valence electrons, and oxygen has 6 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so calcium is going to donate 2 of its electrons to the oxygen. Now, since calcium has lost 2 electrons, it has a 2+ charge, and oxygen has gained 2 more electrons, so it has a 2- charge. So our final Lewis structure is going to look like this. So we have the bracket around calcium with a 2+ charge, and then we have a bracket around our oxygen with the valence electrons with a 2- charge. Our next problem is going to be strontium bromide. Strontium has 2 valence electrons, and bromine has 7 valence electrons. Now there's 2 bromines, so we need to account for this, like this. And each bromine is going to have 7 valence electrons. Okay, so strontium is going to donate 1 valence electron to each of the bromines. Now, since strontium has lost 2 electrons, it will have a 2+ charge, and since each of the bromines gained an electron, it will have a 1- charge. So our final Lewis structure will look like this. We're going to put the strontium in the middle in this case. So we have our bromine with the valence electrons, the -1, and then we have our strontium with our 2+, and then we have another bromine with our valence electrons with a 1- charge. Next, we have potassium oxide. Now there's 2 potassiums, and each of the potassiums has 1 valence electron, and the oxygen has 6 valence electrons. So we have our potassium with 1, another potassium with 1, and our oxygen with our 6. Now each of these potassiums are going to donate a valence electron to our oxygen like this. And when we write this, we're going to write it with the oxygen in the middle. So our final Lewis structure is going to look like this. So we have our bracket with our potassium. Now it lost 1 electron, so it has a +1 charge. And we have our oxygen next with all the valence electrons. And it gained 2 electrons, so it has a 2 minus charge. And finally, we have another potassium. And a potassium lost an electron, so it has a positive charge.